News 13 on special assignment behind prison walls. A new examination of evidence in a 14-year murder case could free a man from a lifetime in prison. A medical forensic expert believes that man was wrongly convicted in the death of a 3-year-old. News 13 Saul Signs takes us behind prison walls for a rare interview with the convicted killer in a story you'll see only on News 13.
He passed away.
Giovanni Vega has been serving a life sentence for the past 13 years, convicted in the death of a 3-year-old. Now, Dr. Radford Shanklin is trying to overturn what he calls a gross miscarriage of justice in medical science. This medical expert uncovered forensic evidence which he says was overlooked by then medical examiner Dr. Shashi Gore in 1999.
There's so much evidence in this case of a profound internal disease which caused the death of the child. It boggles my mind to see how they marched down.
Gore testified Giovanni Vega, then 19 years old, beat 3-year-old Xavier Collado to death.
I found him hurt in the stairs. That is why he had a bruised stair mark.
Vega is now 32 and has been in prison for 13 years. He was babysitting Xavier and his sister at the Chicano Lodge. He found Xavier unconscious when he returned to the room after a drug deal. The toddler later died in the hospital. Dr. Gore testified bruises on the child were evidence of child abuse which caused his death. But recently, Dr. Shanklin reviewed Gore's autopsy reports, and he says he found flaws. Primarily, the ME did not consider the boy's medical condition, only the bruises. Shanklin found this picture of a little girl with lesions on her face at the crime scene in 1999. She turned out to be Xavier's older sister, and those lesions were a bacterial infection which she likely passed on to her brother, an infection which he says traveled to the boy's brain. According to Dr. Shanklin, the 3-year-old collapsed at this hotel because his body was so weak from the effects of bacterial meningitis, which had already ravaged his body.
Nobody came in and testified and pointed the finger at me. Nobody. Okay? This was a medical examiner, their main witness we're dealing with here.
Dr. Gore came under fire for questionable and inaccurate autopsies, one of those which led to the state overturning a conviction. All were unrelated to this case.
This is what's currently pending.
Vega's lawyer, Christopher Stevenson, petitioned for a new hearing based on Gore's history of flawed autopsies, but was denied several times.
And he did this to my son. You know, my son is his victim. Why can't the state see this?
Now Stevenson is again petitioning for a new hearing based on Dr. Shanklin's findings, evidence he believes will set Vega free. Saul Signs, News 13.
And just to clarify, all of the previous criticism of Dr. Gore's autopsy and the overturned conviction were unrelated to this case.